our MC for the rest of the day, Naomi, who's from Unbound, and she's going to be sharing with you what's happening next. Thank you.
Thank you very much and welcome everyone. My name's Naomi, I work for Unbound in London and I will be your MC for the rest of the main stage events at Innovfest Unbound. I'd like to invite you to join the conversation with our hashtags Innovfest Unbound and hashtag SNI2017. We've got some incredible content for you today, including, up next, Iker Ibanez, Managing Director for Accenture Digital. Please come to the stage, Iker, for your presentation, Navigating the Unchartered.
Good morning. Look at all this room full of amazing talent, right? I'm incredibly excited and honored to be here today with all of you. For someone that finds his passion in solving problems with technology, I possibly couldn't find any better place to be here today, surrounded by this amazing pool of talent. Normally, when we talk about technology, innovation, disruption, digital, all these words that are very commonly used today, it's very usual to use very grand adjectives, almost sometimes apocalyptic when we refer to these things. And the truth is that we're living a moment like pretty much no other before, right? We are facing some of the biggest changes human being has faced ever since the dawn of information age. And I like to find something really beautiful in this. Technology gives us a purpose, gives us a real ability to solve some of the most complicated issues that we face. No matter whether we do it as human beings or as businesses, now we are more empowered and enabled than we've ever been to solve some of those challenges and problems. Think of some of the things we're seeing up here on the screen. Think, for example, of autonomous driving. Who would have thought a few years ago that today it could be a reality? You can sit on a car and let the car drive for you. And think of the dimension of that, right? Perhaps one day in a near future, we can be looking at a moment when we have totally eliminated the tragic impact of traffic accidents, for example. Or let's take a look at healthcare and the use of artificial intelligence and computer vision, deep learning and whatnot to work on more advanced techniques to diagnose certain conditions, and perhaps one day save a lot of lives being able to detect tumors in certain conditions before they become too complicated to deal with. And why not go even bigger and think about using big data and visual analytics to monitor our crops and improve their yield, and perhaps take a go at solving the problem of famine in the world. So I guess what I wanted to say today is that it is really exciting to be part of this technology community, and I think all of us have an amazing opportunity ahead of us to really make an impact in the world. With all of this transformation, all of this disruption, all of this innovation going around us, it is not a surprise to find out that the amount of investments that are being made by the top companies in this field is probably close to $1 trillion US. This is a figure that IDC came up with last year in a survey. But we did ask ourselves, do all of these investments make the same impact? How does it come about different investments having different impacts? Do all of these investments in digital technology, innovation, and disruption help us drive sustainable growth for our organizations? So we didn't settle for this, and we went ahead and did some research inquiring about 343 of the top companies in the world to find out some very, very interesting conclusions on the outcome of these investments. So what you have on the screen is basically how we came about classifying companies according to the outcome they reach through making digital investments. On the bottom part of the screen, you see that still a large part of organizations actually are not making significant investments in this field, yet they're surviving. Question will be for how long, right? But on the top of it, this is where it's very, very interesting. And intriguingly, we found out that there's about 18% companies that, despite making very, very strong investments in digital innovation, disruption, and technology in general, they are not necessarily driving that into sustainable growth. It's not really having a big financial impact. But as opposed to that, there's a smaller group of companies that making roughly the same investments are really driving sustainable growth. So we couldn't help but ask ourselves, what is the difference? What makes it an investment, a good investment when it comes to digital and technology? And we found out something quite interesting. We found out that those that we call digital leaders, which are those that have not really managed to move the needle financially, are actually companies that are, generally speaking, focusing their efforts in technology in driving efficiency in their operations. So they have pretty much an inward focus, an inward thinking when it comes to using technology. More interestingly, the companies that have actually managed to drive growth through investments in technology are those that have applied not only that inward thinking, but also use digital and technology as a lever, as an opportunity, as a way of changing and transforming the business they operate in two ways, two particular ways. One, crafting products, services, at the end of the day, experiences that really attract and engage their end customers or consumers. And on the other side, they are using digital and technology to really transform the business in which they operate, even their industry in which they operate in. So I guess the conclusion of this survey, after all this research, was that, yes, technology, innovation, digital, open really incredible opportunities ahead of all of us, but perhaps what drives the impact of those technologies and those investments is where we do invest them. And investing in customer experiences and transforming our businesses is probably what's going to drive the most benefit out of our investments. There are many, many technologies, many trends that we could talk about today. We saw some pictures or some little videos on the previous slide. And we could spend hours just enumerating them, right? But there are two that I wanted to bring today as an opening for this fabulous event. And the reason why I chose those two is because I believe they are going to empower us as organizations and businesses to drive those two key things that are behind sustainable growth, experiences and transformation of our businesses. I don't think it comes as a surprise that the first one is artificial intelligence. It has already been mentioned a few times in this morning. AI is probably going to be the most impactful capability in our ability to solve problems with technology, and this is probably even an understatement. It opens up so many new approaches to problem solving that, of course, is an unstoppable spread into every single field you can think of: autonomous driving, healthcare, you name it. The possibilities are absolutely endless, and we're already seeing amazing applications of this. But out of that whole set of applications, I would like to bring one that sounds a little bit humble, but actually has huge, huge impact, and is how artificial intelligence is changing the way in which humans interact with technology. Think of it. In the last 5 decades or so, we've gone from command line interfaces, learning hugely complicated commands to interact with systems, onto beautifully crafted touch interfaces that we use with our fingers on a lovely smartphone. We've come a long way in making those things usable, but yet they all follow the same exact principle and paradigm. They are design interfaces for a single purpose that one has to learn on how to interact with them to get one single purpose that they are designed for. They are determined, they're pretty much self-contained for one single purpose. And of course, they're all visual, and that has determined the way in which our brands interact with our consumers. Because of the visual nature of these engagements, brands have developed a visual persona, and that is how we interact and engage with our consumers. Now, artificial intelligence is totally going to change that in a very radical and transformative way. Think of it. We no longer design interfaces so that humans understand them. We just let humans interact with systems in the most natural possible way. Conversation. We talk to a system, whether through chat or through voice, but we just express ourselves in a natural way, express our intention, and we expect the system to understand us and perform whatever action. There's no learning required. More importantly, we've eliminated the visual aspect. So now, interestingly, the voice of our brand is not a visual one. We have to develop a total new way of conveying what a brand stands for. Who are we as an organization? And that has to come through a voice or through a text interface. So this completely changes the way in which our organizations are going to relate to consumers. You've probably seen a huge number of chatbots, agents, voice assistants proliferating over there. So this year, we predict that artificial intelligence is going to become the new user interface. And this is totally going to change the way we interact with these systems. From transactions and interactions, we're going to move onto relationships. And that is really, really powerful when it comes to keeping your customers with yourselves. I have a lovely example to share. When I moved to Singapore about 7 years ago, one of the first things that struck me was the fact that it is very socially common to refer to your elderly as uncles or aunties, which I found particularly lovely, except when I'm the one being called an uncle. But anyway, so bringing back to the point, the Land Transport Authority launched a lovely chatbot on Facebook Messenger that serves a very simple but really powerful purpose, which is helping commuters that use the bus as the mean of transportation find where the nearest bus stop is and which bus they should get to go where they want to go. And using artificial intelligence, the hit rate of the information it gives is incredibly reliable and accurate. Now, more interestingly, and bringing back to the point of artificial intelligence being the voice of the brand, LTA has personified in the form of a grumpy bus uncle and uses jargon to interact with people in a very natural way. And in a way, we now can start to see LTA as that somewhat funny, grumpy old bus uncle driver that helps us go from point A to point B. So I guess that is a really beautiful power of AI that I wanted to bring today. Just like artificial intelligence brings us the power to create incredible customer experiences, ecosystems have probably the same, if not more power, to transform our businesses. And they do so in a very interesting way. They allow us to completely break down the boundaries between industries, markets, and whatnot. Think of it, consumers are more and more demanding increasingly sophisticated experiences, products, service, and this requires companies to cooperate in creating those experiences. Our ability to individually satisfy all the needs of one consumer is very, very limited nowadays, and is going to be more so in time, right? So there's a somewhat analogy with nature here. Every business that operates in an ecosystem is going to affect others, and is going to be affected by the other businesses operating in that ecosystem, and that is going to demand us to be incredibly flexible and adaptable if we want to survive, just like in any biological ecosystem. So making decisions today on which ecosystems you are going to be part of and what role you are going to play in is going to be hugely transformational. This is going to be the one key thing that's going to determine your ability to be successful or not in the future. But more than that, what I really find fascinating about this is that it completely changes the traditional rules on how we have been running our businesses. Think of the ability, or perhaps the need, to no longer drive your consumers to your own touch points, whether they are digital or physical, but actually driving them to some of your partners' touch points, even some of your competitors. Now, that sounds a bit almost like an oxymoron, right? But in this new world of ecosystems, that is one of the new rules that we have to write. So, becoming digital high performers, as we were seeing at the beginning of the presentation, is going to require all of us to collaborate, to partner with universities, governments, startups, anyone operating in that ecosystem, including your competitors. And perhaps a few last thoughts before I leave it here. With artificial intelligence becoming really pervasive and ecosystems completely blurring the lines of how businesses have operated so far, we are probably seeing ourselves in going into totally uncharted territories, right? And perhaps we can see ourselves as digital pioneers in a way, and we're slowly going beyond creating new products and services and features, and we're starting to think much bigger. We're starting to think on how we can create totally new industries, connected healthcare, connected transport, a lot of them out there, right? But more than that, I'd like to make a reflection as a parting thought here. I think never before technology has had such an ability to resolve the really complex issues we have ahead of us. So I think it is healthy for all of us to take a minute to reflect on how hugely lucky we are to be part of this community. And when I look around and see this room full of amazingly talented people, I really have a lot of hope in the fact that with the amazing technology that's coming down the line, the innovation and disruption that you guys are pushing on a day-to-day basis, there's no problem that we cannot resolve. So I wanted to encourage you all to enjoy this event as much as I'm doing and keep pushing the boundaries, keep experimenting, and keep dreaming big. Because with the technology that's coming and the use that we're all making of it, there's probably nothing that can stop us. So I just wanted to thank you very much for your time today, and I really hope that you enjoy your time and the rest of the event. Thank you very much.